Hello, everybody, and welcome again to another episode 7 of It's Tea Time with my good friend Tony Westwood and myself, Neville Gaunt. So far, we've talked about every aspect of the game, or most of the aspects of the game, with the exception of one really big, important aspect. We all talk about mastering the short game. So, the short game, Tony. Why do people have a problem with it? How big does it need to be? Because we talk about the short game all the time.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's really interesting, actually, when you look at the stats when you analyse the game. Golfers are quite shocked to realise that 65% of their game of golf is played within 100 yards, or for those living in metric land, within around about 100 metres of the green. Everybody goes to the driving range, and it amazed me for years now. I've been in the game for well over 35 years, that golfers turn up a lot of the time at the driving range with one club. Just one club. They turn up with the driver. They get a basket of balls. They got 50 golf balls. They hit 5 drives straight, and they think they've cracked it. They forget about where all the others have gone, and then they wonder why they're not improving. When effectively, within a round of golf, they might only use the driver, I know, maybe 9 or 10 times.
Oh, yeah, but Tony, it feels good ramping it up. Woo, 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 woo. Get it out there.
Yeah, but you and I know about percentages, isn't it?
Exactly. It's about winning the game and getting better.
Absolutely. And if you're not improving within that 100-yard area, then your scores are just going up and up and up and up and all the time. And the other thing as well is, as your scores are going up and up and up and up, then the tension's going up and up and up and up, and your frustration's going up and up and up and up. So it's really getting focused on what you want to achieve. As you've been playing the game and getting used to what you need to do, you can hit the ball 100 yards. So there's no reason why you can't get better at that part. Not everybody's going to be able to hit the driver 300 yards, but everybody can hit it 100 yards, whether that's with a pitching wedge or a 9-iron. It's irrelevant, really. You can cover that distance. And I cannot remember now who told me, but my mindset changed quite dramatically. It'd be about 25, maybe 30 years ago when I was competing. And the thought just came to me that if I can cover the distance, what is the best result for the shot I'm about to play? Well, the best result for the shot I'm about to play is for the ball to go in the hole. Because I can hit the ball this distance. If I've got 200 yards, I can hit the ball 200 yards. The chances of the ball going in the hole from 200 yards, however, are really, really slim. But I haven't played the shot yet, so it is possible. So therefore, as those distances get shorter, so I get to 150 yards, to 100 yards, to 50 yards. So as those distances are coming down, the percentage chances of me getting the ball into the hole are getting greater. So as you get closer, yes, it's still unlikely that you're going to hole it from 50 yards, but you've got more chance of holing it from 50 yards than you have from 200 yards. So the golfer's focus, with the aim of the game being to get the ball into the hole in as fewer shots as possible, should be to get the ball into the hole.
But that's you see, this is the thing that I think people miss out and they forget. Let's go back to the very beginning of this conversation. The short game's important. Why? Because 65% of your chance actually is going to be playing the short game. And as you quite rightly say, a short game is around about the 100-yard mark. And we can all hit the ball 100 yards. I mean, I know my brother's father-in-law always struggled with his clubs all the way through his life. But the interesting thing is, when I met him, which was sort of many years into his playing career, the biggest club he had in his bag was a 7-iron.
Mm.
Because he said, well, a 450 yards, hole, I can be on the green in 3.
Yeah.
And because he knew that, why should I get a driver out and have a bigger chance of missing the fairway? It's just another club I've got to get used to. Now, not everyone's going to have that mindset, are they? But
no.
But he was effectively playing a short game 3 times before he got to the putter.
Yeah. I mean, the number of times I go out and play golf with people and who stand there on a particular hole, and we've talked about these ideas before. I always do this on this hole. Well, why do you always do that on that hole? Because you always make the same decision on that hole, and you're playing with the memory of all the previous times you've stood on that hole and made exactly the same decision. And we both know, Einstein called it's something like insanity, didn't he? Doing the same thing over and expecting
something different. Yeah.
It's not going to change until you decide to do something different. And it's really making sure that your mindset is correct. So we've talked a lot about going through this reboot process, assessing what part of the ball did I hit, what angle was the club face, and what was the contact like. Then putting that to bed and moving on to the next shot. But by the time golfers get to the short game, they might have already hit 2 or 3 shots, 2 or 3 poor shots. And most of them are wondering, why is the next bit going to be better than the first bit I've just done on this hole? I'll just wait until I get to the next hole. So they've actually given up by the time they're getting closer to the green, because they're not going through that reboot process time and time again. When this opportunity now, being closer to the flag, closer to the hole, is an opportunity to be successful. We've been talking earlier before we came on air about these Brexit talks, and they're getting closer and closer to the goal, but they're getting more and more frustrated, just like the golfers getting more frustrated because they're trying to discuss the same things all the time. Well, somebody's got to do something different, and the golfers got to make sure that as they approach the green, their mindset is the same expectancy, the same focus, the same commitment, the same trust and belief in what they're about to do, because it is possible as long as they continue to believe. The 2 words behind you at the top of our MindFit dinosaur speak it out perfectly, which is can do. If you keep believing you can do it, things will begin to happen and they will begin to change because you'll be in the right mindset all the time.
Yeah, and that's really important. So we're now within shooting distance of getting the ball in the hole. And I totally agree with you. We should be focused on that's the shot, putting the ball in the hole. But there's this thing called course management that comes into play each time. So it's this balance of I can get this ball in the hole. However, even the pros know that on pretty tricky greens, going for and getting that ball in the hole isn't the smartest shot. So this is about when you're in the zone, you haven't got this driver going to the driving range and that's it. I mean, they call it the driving range. I've always found it fascinating why they call it the driving range and not the golf range. Because it's a mindset thing, isn't it? Oh, I'm going to the driving range, so therefore I've got to bash the hell out of a ball as far as I can get it. And yet we've already been saying, 65% is where you play the short game.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
let's talk about course management now. Let's make the assumption that we've played this course before. So there's the gremlins in the back of the mind saying, I always get it in the bunker, or I'll hit the out of bounds on the left, or whatever that is. Let's ignore all those, and let's talk about course management in that last 100 yards, 100 meters.
Well, it's really interesting. There's a great story and I love Ben Hogan's stories. There's a great Ben Hogan story, and he just played a tournament. His wife travelled with him, and he didn't win the tournament. And the reason he didn't win the tournament was I think it was something 5 or 6 times during the round, in thinking about holing the shot, he actually hit the flag. And when the ball hits a flag, you're in the lap of the gods. The ball's going off in
anywhere, yeah, could be anywhere, yeah.
Direct. And the ball would hit the flag and ricochet distances away where it was unlikely that you're going to make the putt. So he was known a little bit for his temper, and he was driving away from this tournament. He was moaning at his wife about not winning this event, and the guy who won it's not as good as me, etc., etc., etc. And she just said to him, "Yeah, but Ben, what are you trying to do?" And his wife wasn't a golfer. His wife didn't play golf. She said, "But Ben, why are you getting yourself in this state?" He says, "Well, I did this today. I hit the flag. I'm so accurate. I hit the flag 5 or 6 times, and the ball kicked off the green, and I didn't make the birdie. Yeah, I'm being so accurate." She said, "Well, what are you trying to do?" He said, "I'm trying to hole every shot." She said, "Okay, but you're obviously accurate." She says, "Why don't you just aim to get it close then?" And in his book, his wife describes the kind of the light bulb came on. We've all had that bright idea, and it's like, wow, why didn't I think of this?
Why didn't I think of it before? Yeah. A non-golfer's having to tell me how to play golf.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so what he then did, and the way he phrased it was great. And this is the way he phrased it. If, okay, we know in business, if is a big word. Yeah. If I happen to miss, okay, if I happen to miss, where would I like to be playing my next shot from? So he would then look at where the flag was sitting on the green. He'd analyse where the slope was. And obviously, you would prefer to have a slightly uphill putt than a downhill putt, because you'd be more aggressive. And he would kind of create his own little kind of target around the hole and think, I'd like to be putting from that segment. So if the green sloped from left to right, if he was going to miss, he'd like to be in the segment below the hole and on the right-hand side, because he'd have an uphill putt. And that's the way he worked it in his own mind. If I have to play another shot, where do I want to play that other shot from? And inside, 150 yards, that's how he was thinking all the time. So if this was to happen, if this didn't quite happen, how do I make my next shot simpler? And easy is not the right word, okay? Because as far as I'm concerned, the game is simple, it's just not easy. But if we want to be making the next shot as simple as possible, we could rewind that back to the tee, and say, well, how do I make my next shot simpler? Well, if I'm picked a particular spot on the fairway, it gives me the best opportunity to be successful going forwards. So it's making those decisions and focusing on exactly what you want to happen and having a backup plan if it doesn't happen. So you've then got a strategy going forwards. Now, as long as that strategy fits in with I'm sure between us now, we've mentioned the term common sense throughout our little programs that we've been shooting for the last 7 weeks. This is episode 7, plus we did the Master Special. So it's episode 8. And I'm sure we've mentioned common sense quite a few times by now. Okay, so as long as everything fits, you've got a backup plan, you've got an idea, a strategy about what's going to happen going forwards, then you can begin to really play successfully. And if you're following the MindFit process correctly, then you'll actually discover what part of the game then you need to improve upon, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are. Okay, so I'm not the best from 30 yards, but I like to be 70 yards. So if you're 200 yards away and it's on the edges of you being able to reach the green, why try and reach the green and leave yourself that 30-yard shot? Why not play a shot that you're going to hit 120 to 130 yards, which you're going to be more accurate with, and then leave yourself your favorite distance into the green? But golfers put themselves under pressure all the time because they come to me for a golf lesson. They say, oh, Tony, I need to work on my 10-yard shot into the green. Oh, okay, what you like at 30 yards? I'm really good at 30 yards. All right. Why do you keep leading yourself 10 yards then? Yes, I agree we need to work on it, but why not use a strategy that gets you to within 30 or 40 yards all the time where you feel comfortable? And golfers have this amazing knack of putting themselves in their uncomfortable zone and not playing in their comfort zone.
And not only golfers, but business people too. We haven't talked much about business, the connection with business, apart from you say in business we do this as well. And of course we do. You think of the analogies now. We're not going to be talking about what you do in business. You need to think about what you do in business. As Tony says, if you've got a really good short game that you're really good from 70 yards, why are you hitting it to within 25 yards of the green? Because actually, you're teeing yourself up for a failure. You are the worst downfall of yourself. And it's this strategy. And so course management doesn't just start within the short game. It starts when you tee off. So there's the lesson that we're all going to learn today. It's been absolutely fascinating going through this, but if we go too far, we'll be into episode 8. It would be remiss of us if we didn't have a mention for the voice of golf. Sad passing at the weekend of Peter Alliss. Ever since I've been watching golf, this guy has just been the voice of golf, the smooth and silky man. I mean, I'm sure you've got many memories. In fact, Tony, I bet you've walked around with him, haven't you? Haven't you walked around?
No, I haven't actually. I never got the opportunity to meet him. But I remember growing up in the mid to late 70s when I was first kind of wandering around football pitches, hitting golf balls or whatever it is I could find to learn and develop my skills. And kind of there was several programs at that time. Golf had a far more airtime on the BBC than it has these days with the proliferation of digital and satellite channels. And there was some great programs. There was Around with Alliss.
Around with Alliss. Oh wow, what a program that was.
He'd kind of have a wander with a celebrity, be it a business person or a celebrity from the TV or the world of film, etc. And they play 3 or 4 holes, and you'd get Allis's questioning. So it was like, I suppose in a way, it's a bit like Parkinson on the golf course. He was getting to know what their life was like, and he was doing what we're doing now to a degree. He was, when they were hitting particular shots and not being as successful, he was getting them to look at it from their own perspective in what they do in their own industry and make a decision based on those elements. It was obviously very relevant at that point in time as well. He was fine hitting the ball off the tee, but as he got closer to the green, you could see the frailties in his own game, where he wasn't so good chipping and he wasn't so good with the putter in those days. Interestingly, I can't remember whether the number plate on his car was either putt 3 or 3 putt. It was one way around. It was very
constant reminder.
Absolutely, yeah. Just in case you've got the yips, so just go and get in your car. Yeah, absolutely. So maybe you needed some of our medicine. And there was the pro celebrity golf as well, where you'd have the likes of Lee Trevino and Tom Watson playing with a couple of celebrities, and he'd commentate on that as well. And he gave golf to the average golfer. He made it sound achievable. He spoke a lot of common sense. On our Twitter feed this week, I've been posting some great Peter Alliss quotes. I think I posted one yesterday. It says, "Oh, this guy used to be indecisive, but I think now he just doesn't know." And it's those kind of elements, those quips that gave him such a long career within the world of golf, and to be able to reflect on the game in a particular way. So rather than constantly analysing a golf swing, You know, it was very much a case, well, what's this hole? It's two decent swishes and a couple of putts. You know, that's it really. Yeah, and he grew up in that older time. His dad Percy was obviously a professional. He would have known Henry Cotton at the time. You know, Henry Cotton.
Oh, we're going back into history here.
Would have come up through those schools and known those older golfers and honed his skill with those ideas, not necessarily the regimented way that a lot of coaching is done these days. So yeah, sadly missed, but lots and lots of great memories.
Yeah, I think his legacy will be in golf for many, many, many years. I always remember one of the best quotes I can remember, and I don't know whether anyone actually put it in words or stuck it up on some boardroom, but I remember him saying, "I don't think Tiger meant to do that." And he said it like several times, as though this was when Tiger was at his peak, and he just said in his dulcet tone, "I don't think Tiger meant to do that." And then there was this stony silence immediately after, and you could see, and they sort of pinned back to Tiger on the fairway, and Tiger's eyes just went straight up into the gods. And yeah, Tiger really didn't mean to do that. You know, the point about that is we're all fallible. You know, with the best planning in the world, things actually don't go to plan. So it's your recovery that is everything. And it's the recovery that starts in the golf course once you've hit the shot. So analyze the shot. How many times we say this? Analyze the shot, get it out of the way, and enjoy the walk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if it's raining, you know, enjoy it, because that's part of the game of golf. Tony, it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you once again. We're going to have a trip down memory lane today. Episode 7, folks, I'm afraid it's all over. Episode 8 next week. So it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye. And we'll see you next week.